Welcome to 100 Yards of Football, and tonight, here's our Legends segment. I'm your host, Bobby Butler. Hey, listen, man, we're back in the 561. We got three great legends from Delray Beach, Atlantic High greats, NFL greats, college great, Division I college. And hey, guys, Les McGinley. What's going on, Wes? Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, what's going on, Bobby? Thanks for having me, man.
Everything good. Everything good. Andre, that is, what's happening, man?
Ain't a whole lot. Glad to be here with the fellas and yourself. Awesome.
Oh, man. Hey, man, you're a big-time legend out of Delray, man. I've been looking forward to getting you on for a while. And we got
great to be here.
Dr. Anthony Hamlet with us.
How you doing?
What's happening, man? Welcome to the show.
Nothing much. Thank you for having me, and thank you for having the guys also. You know, we're really blessed to be a part of this show. We've been watching it. I've been watching it and learning history myself.
Oh,
so
awesome, man.
On this show.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, we've been digging in the past. You know, when I was a kid in Delray, you know, I looked up to some guys back in the 60s, right? And so I've been bringing that light, and I get excited every time I get one of those guys on the show. But the thing about Delray, hey, man, we got legends in every generation. Mm-hmm. And so it's time to move forward and talk to some of the guys. You guys graduated. I know Andre and Anthony, you guys graduated in 1987, correct?
Correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, my sister graduated with you guys. My baby sister.
Yes,
that's right.
My classmate Jocelyn. How's she doing?
Right. That's right. That's right. And then, Les, you the baby of the bunch, man. You came out a year later, 1988.
Yeah, I came out a year later, but you know what? I looked up to these guys right here, man. I mean, that's who we were trying to be like, man. So it was all good.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. I couldn't imagine how it was for you guys back in the day, even just playing high school ball together with the level of talent that you had on that one team at Atlantic High School.
You know, it's amazing. You know, we used to talk about a lot back then is that what if all the talent in Delray went to one school? Yeah. The state championships, what we have. I mean, back when we were in school, I think we were going to, and kids in a 5-mile radius, we're going to, I think, 3 or 4 different schools.
Right. I remember that.
Yep.
And that was crazy, man. That was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. There's no doubt about it that if that wasn't the case, if it was the same way back in the days of Carver High School.
Oh yeah.
You know, man, it's no question we would have won tons and tons of state titles. But even with not having that, man, a lot of you guys excel after high school, which is really the tale to the story. You know, all you guys played Division I football. But let's go back before we get there. Let's go back and talk about how y'all began your life in the game of football. Did everybody here play with the Delray Rocks?
Absolutely.
That's a must, pretty much.
Listen. It's almost like if you live in Delray and you're a little boy, you gotta play for the Rocks, right?
For the Rocks.
Yes.
That's right.
It's like there's nothing else to do, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me about that. Did you guys? Let me ask you this, because I know in my time, I was in the era where the Rocks began. So when I was in the 4th grade, it was the first time we had a Delray Rocks, right? And so we started playing like immediately, and it was fun. But you know, when you talk to the guys of old, they didn't have the Delray Rocks. But tell me about I want everybody to take some time and tell me about your experience with the Rocks.
Well, I think for me, I would just say my first year it was with Coach Walt Stevens and Coach Bump and Coach Major Graham.
Okay.
So we was at Block 48, Bobby. My first year, my cousins took me out there. And we practiced the whole time, the whole summer. And it was time to get your card and weigh in and everything and get your jersey numbers picked out. And it came about that I was too young. So I practiced a full 2.5 months and I could not play.
Wow.
So wow. That was real sad for me.
But you were determined though.
Oh, I was well, I didn't know the age stuff, but then it was determined. My mom found out I was too young, so I had to just wait till the next year.
Wow. That's amazing, man. So Dr. Anthony, tell me about your experience.
Yeah, very similar to Andre, but I remember definitely playing for Coach Stevens and Coach Mitchell, but most of the time I played with Coach Leonard, Big Benny.
Benny Leonard.
They were Big Benny, and so the guys Rod Graham, I mean, you name the guys. You know, he had a great time. But I can tell you back then, I was an up and comer, so I didn't know what I was doing. But I got out there and I knocked around and learned, and so that's how he got better. My first year, it's like, why is this guy out here? He's not good at all. Kept working and working, and next year I began to become a starter. So really, helped me set my mindset and my work ethic around what it needs, what I need to do to be successful.
That's awesome. Now, one of the best things happened when you played at the Rocks. You were developed fundamentally. Yes. All right. And the guys who were coaching, because, you know, Bump Mitchell was basically my first coach. Yeah. All right. And then Benny Leonard came when I went to the 130-pound team. The first year Benny coached was a year after I left the 105. And so he got the middle team, right? And so, of course, I always knew about Benny, but he never coached me. Walt Stevens and Red Odom were on the same coaching staff with Bill Smith, the guy who founded the Delray Rocks. Yes. So I played under those guys, which was great. Red Odom, man, I just got to tell you, man, if it wasn't for Red Odom, I don't know what my life would be like today. I'm just telling you straight up. So Les, what about you and your experience?
Man, you know, Bobby, see, everybody don't know this, but Bobby used to live right across the street from me growing up. That's right. Right on 8th Street, Southwest 8th Street. That's right. That's right. And so he was really one of my first introductions to a football. Okay. I used to see him outside all the time, but yeah, I started when I think I was 7, Bobby, when I went out for the Rocks, man. And Andre was too young, but I was too light. I probably weighed 40 pounds. Right. Wow. You know, and playing for the 80-pound. I tell people all the time, man, the Oklahoma drill almost made me quit football because Coach Walt put me as the ball carrier against Andre Thaddeus and Gerald Jones, and they were both like, you know, 80 pounds at the time. I was probably 45 pounds. And all I can tell you is when I woke up, I was eating a bowl of cereal. So I almost gave up, man. But I hung in there.
Well, it's so amazing of our stories in the very beginning, right? Yeah. Right. So the first year, my dad signed me up. I can't figure out what happened, but the only thing I can assume was that he signed me up late. And I got stuck on the middle team when I should have been on the small team. And so I go out there and I sign up. I wanted to be a running back because I always wanted to run and thought I was pretty good with doing that. Signed up for running back, and I'm playing with guys 2 years older and some 3 years older because they got a late birthday, 2.5 years, might as well say. So I'm playing with Vic Mitchell, playing with Smitty Boo, you know, guys like that who were just like so much older than me. And the first drill I did was an Oklahoma drill and got knocked out. Bro, I got knocked out. And I remember everybody laughing at me, man. I was a joke, man. But you know, when you think about it, you know, when you look at that first experience and someone would say, well, what about this kid right here who just got knocked out? You know, and somebody would say, well, that guy is going to be an All-American in high school. He's going to be an All-American in college. He's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to play 12 years in the league. You know, anybody say, no, that's not going to happen, right? Right. But it has nothing to do with how you start, but it's how you finish.
How you finish,
right? We were not born great football players. That's something that had to be developed, right? Yep. And I think with the culture in Delray and, you know, having the opportunity to play, you know, ball early and get reps, it helped us become who we ended up being.
Yeah, you had to compete.
You had to compete, man.
That's what was going to be given to you. So you had to compete. So you had to come.
That was a blessing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you before you came out for the Rocks, you know, you competed on your own streets, like as you said, growing up on Southwest 8th Street. Right. And I know the older guys, you know, you just hope you can get into the little sandlot game. Yeah, exactly. Right. And so you know, so they got the little boys out there.
Go up and run it.
That's it. So that's where it came, and then you went to the Rocks,
and then you was right. Exactly. Football. Exactly. And so it's amazing, man, because like if talking to people like Red Odom, right? And they talk about how they grew up. They all played at Teen Town Center. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Pompey had his hands on them when they were very young, even though they didn't have a Delray Rock, you know. And then, you know, in Delray, the divide in the streets in Delray, you talk about Frog Alley, you talk about Carver Park, you talk about Jefferson Manor, you talk about all these different places where you have ballers everywhere, right? Right. And so just to compete with them, And I was fortunate, man, because I lived on Southwest 12th Avenue in a duplex, right down the street from the old Carver High School. All right. I lived right behind Larry Coffey. The Coffeys lived on 13th. I lived on 12. And me and Larry Coffey has been like this since day one. We always played street ball together. And then I would go and stay with my cousins, and I'll be playing with Vic, Toot Mitchell, Tony Scott, Smitty Boo, that group. And so I got a lot of opportunities to play with guys who are older, and I think that helped form my game a lot.
Yeah.
Helped form it a lot. So Atlantic High School, man. So you guys, Anthony, we're going to call you Anthony for right now. We're going to get the doctor in a minute.
Hey, listen, don't worry about the doctor.
Hey, no, when you see the doctor on his name, we ain't talking about like a Dr. Love or like a Dr. Death or anything like that. We're talking this man got a PhD. He's a real doctor. That doctor means something, right? And so we're gonna get into that, Anthony, in a little bit.
Sure.
But let's talk about the people who inspired you to play. Because I know for me, inspiration came from the guys that were ahead of me. What about you guys? Who inspired you guys to even play?
Man, it's so many, right? Just growing up. I know I grew up on Southwest 9th Avenue. So we had guys like Johnny Floyd and Myron White and Alan Cooper was my neighbor.
All right.
so we grew up racing. So when we literally always had to race. And then I don't know how it happened, but some of those guys came home with some old Atlantic helmet and some old shoulder pads. and we would be back in the back of our apartments, as much as that they could, and maybe 4 or 5 helmets and shoulder pads. And 7, 8, we started right there.
Wow. Exactly.
So it's just those guys and my cousin Frank and Tomcat, who were Atlantic. So, thick and thin. And guess what? My first football game, it was a guy named Bobby Butler playing against Chris Collinsworth. That was the first football game I've ever been to.
Are you kidding?
I'm dead serious. My cousins took me to that game.
Wow, that was a great game. That was
a great game.
That was the semifinal of the state playoffs.
Yes.
And
so that was my first bite of Atlantic football.
Wow. And that had to be a fun night. That had to be a fun night for you because the place was rocking that night.
It was.
I'll never forget that night. That's awesome, man.
Hilltop Stadium.
Yes, sir. There it is.
For me, one, it was in the blood. I had to live up to a name. And my father, Anthony Grizzly, ran the rock for Carver.
That's your daddy?
Yeah, that's my father, yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Man, you done messed me up, man. Come on, dude.
When people find it out, it's that you got to be a good football player because you got to live up to your dad's name. So
man,
it was already in me.
Your dad was no joke, bro.
I heard.
Listen, bro, he was no joke. Wow. Man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, so begin with that, but also growing up playing with my older cousins and my older cousins' friends, Tony Cornelius, Jerome Hamlet, my brother, Gus Burgess, Jerome Burgess, all down there in Carver Park, 14th Avenue. Right?
14th Avenue, man. There it is. There it is.
Get out there in the street and play football.
Right.
And just have a good time. Knocking each other out, not knowing each other.
Exactly, right? All right. What about you, Les?
Growing up with those guys and you're just watching them.
Watching them.
On the list, Vince Jones, Greg Jackson, those guys who I watched when I was an 8th grader and 9th grader at Carver, just wanting to be out there on the field with those guys at Atlantic High School.
Right. And so that's amazing, Anthony. It's just like we have so many guys to look up to, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, we never had a lack of, people ahead of us kind of like showing us the way. Or saying like, look, if I can be as good as that guy, I may have a chance. So what about you, Les?
Yeah, you know what? Growing up on 8th Street, like I said, I hung out with Terrence Thomas and Danny Wilson, and they played baseball, and but we used to play street football all day, every day till the street lights came on. And even though they didn't play organized football, I just picked up the game and I found a love for it from them, because I was always a kid going for the bomb. I never go for a 10-yard pass. I was always trying to get the home run.
Get the home run.
So I knew I wanted to be a receiver. So, I felt like I was pretty quick back then. So
right.
Yeah, we played, like I said, throw it up and run it in the front yard, and then as we got a little bit older, we started progressing to the street. This street to play this street, this block. David Funches and his group, they would play against us.
Okay.
We just started playing it doing it like that, man, and that's where I kind of got the love for it, and that's kind of started for me.
I tell you what, those are some of the best days, man. Out there in the street, man, playing ball, man. And even Andre, I can remember going to my grandmother's house, who lived on Northwest 6th Avenue, right on the corner of Northwest 6th and 3rd, right there. And we used to have a little local track meets right there at that corner, right? Getting down. I'll blow your doors. That was the phrase. I'll blow your doors, right? Yeah. And we'll get down, man, and we'll sprint. I mean, and we'll be out there all night racing like that. Some of the things that help us all develop. Just doing little things like that. So here's my question. I'm perplexed. I'm messed up. I don't know how this happened. I'm still trying to figure it out today. Cause Barry Hill and Lawrence Hunt, they call Big Daddy Hunt, right? Played at Carver High. They graduated in the class of '69, the last year of Carver High. They left here. They were the only two that went to a Division I school out of high school at that time. They went to Iowa State. Right. And so when I was coming out, Barry Hill was asking me, what are you going to do? And I kind of gave him some ideas what I wanted to do. And he said, Bobby, you got to find that TV. He said, if you want to play in the league, you need to find that TV, right? And remember, back in those days, everybody was still going to all the HBCUs. Everybody in Delray at Carver High went to pretty much Bethune-Cookman. And that was my goal, man. I'm going to go Bethune-Cookman like Anthony Penn, right? That's what I want to do. But then Barry said, look, man, you need that TV, bro. So I had a lot of options, but I narrowed them down to 3. The first one was the U, right? And then I said, well, I couldn't go there because they, at that time, they were about to lose their football program. Didn't know.
Question, yeah.
Right, it's a question. And so Otis Anderson, my homeboy from Palm Beach, Forest Hill High School, he was there. We played against each other in high school. He's 2 years older, but I played against him as a sophomore. And I'm like, man, I can't come down here because I get down here and they lose a program, I'll be in trouble. And so Florida was a no deal. Michigan State was my second choice, and now I go to Florida State. And so when I get to Florida State, of course, y'all know we did work, right? Y'all know we did work.
Yes.
Okay, really? Work. Matter of fact, we were the first team in the history, Division I football, in the state of Florida, to be ranked in the top 5. And to play in a major bowl.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
That's right. Now, let me say this now. At that time, the University of Florida had never won an SEC championship.
True. Mm-hmm.
Right? Miami was independent, just like we were independent back in those days. Mm-hmm. Right? I'm trying to figure out how all these dudes from Atlanta end up at Miami. I'm just trying to figure what's going on with that, Dr. Hamlet.
Let me tell you a story how I got to Miami, right?
Okay.
So number one, let's put this in perspective. So, and Andre can attest to this. My senior year, we had 19 players on our team, Bobby.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
19 players on our team. I was the biggest one at 180 pounds.
Wow. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then rerun, Kevin Ballard got hurt. Mm-hmm. We lost Stevie Jones, our quarterback. Listen, we were on a tear. We were actually ranked like 10th in the nation at one time during that season.
Wow.
We ran a table 6-0. Those guys got knocked out.
Wow.
We lost our last 3 games.
What?
Yeah, we lost our last 3 games. But we had a squad though, man. And we're highly disciplined, played well. And so for me, I was playing out of my position. Okay. Normally, I would play tight end or defensive end. Mm-hmm. I had to play offensive and defensive tackle at 180 pounds, right? Wow. But I also ran track. So that attracted Miami to me for track. But number one, I never wanted to go to Miami.
Really?
I never wanted to go to Miami. I did not like Miami.
Wow.
I was a Florida or Florida State guy.
Okay.
I grew up watching, Wilbur Marshall, John L. Williams.
There you go.
Guys,
There you go.
Watching the Charlie Pell show, the Bobby show. Did not want to go to Miami. As a matter of fact, when I got my questionnaire from University of Miami, I was going to throw it away. My mom said, "Hey, what you doing?" I said, "I'm not going there." She said, "That's my favorite team. I'm gonna fill it out for you." Right. So fast forward, our first game of the year, we're getting ready to play highly ranked San Lucius.
Okay.
San Lucius had Ostazuski brothers. They had
Henry and Joe. That's right.
Yeah, Carlos Jenkins, Terminate Watson.
Jenkins, that's right.
Those guys, right? Wow. So we went out there, and I said, "Hey, if I want to get a scholarship, that's all them scouts in the stands, and they come and look at Ostazuski's." I said, "I want to get a scholarship. I better do something tonight.
Do something tonight. That's right.
I better do something tonight." That's so right. I ended up, I did number one. We played everything. Special teams. We did not leave.
Never come out the fact. Right.
I think one time I got the wind knocked out. Coach called a timeout until I got away. Then I went back in again. So we played San Lucius, beat them up. Next day, Miami going to play Florida. Right. Okay. Lo and behold, Miami whooped up on Florida. That Monday afterwards, Butcher Davis comes to see me at Atlantic.
Okay.
Offered me a scholarship. From then on, I was a Hurricane.
You're done. It was a done deal, right?
You ain't going no Miami. Your skinny butt ain't going no Miami. You're not going nowhere. But yeah, I knew it.
So let me ask you this.
I knew where I was going.
So let me ask you this. Did you win any national titles at Miami?
I won a few.
So it worked out, though. It worked out. Right?
It worked out
really well. Listen, I was there at a great time. Cool, got in '87. We won. We ran the tables. Never lost at the Orange Bowl. Set a record on that. Wow. But only lost 4 games in 5 years. Had the opportunity to win 3 national championships. It should have been 4. I'm going back to Notre Dame, 1988. The ground does not cause a fumble.
That's right. That's right. I remember.
We should have had 4, but hey.
Wow.
3.
Wow. Well, it's amazing, man. We lost Coach Bowden this year.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he always talked about, he said, if I hadn't played Miami, we probably won about 6 or 7 national titles. Right?
Came down to Florida State, Miami, who was going to win the national championship every year. That's the national championship game.
But they were the best games. They were the best games. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Matter of fact, you were there. You had to be there. I'm going to say 1989. If I'm not mistaken, it could have been 89, because I think Dion was with us his first year in Atlanta. In 1989, Miami was ranked number 2, I think, and I think we were ranked number 1. Y'all played in Tallahassee. And I flew to that game. Me, Jamie Dukes, and a bunch of guys that played the Falcons. We got a private jet.
Yeah.
We flew down there just for the game and stood on the sideline the whole game. And we had that, I think that was the first wide right.
I would say wide right, either left or right.
That was first wide. Yes, it was.
And you were on that team.
I was on that team. I was out there for that field goal. I was like, I don't know. Listen. Our championship dreams are over now. They're getting ready to kick this field goal.
Oh yeah, exactly.
20-yard shot.
That's right.
He's not gonna miss this.
He's not gonna miss it, right?
It went crazy. We went crazy, man.
Oh my God, that messed me up, man. We had to fly back to Atlanta and play the next day, man. I'll never forget that. But man, but the rivalry was intense back then. See, when I was in school, it was more about, for us, it was more about Florida than it was Miami. So we always just wanted to beat the Gators back then, because the Gators was just like, they were the darlings of the state, and so and so we just wanted to beat them. But that's cool, man. All right, so now Andre,
yes,
in 1987, you decided to go all the way almost to Canada to school. Tell me about playing ball at the University of Minnesota.
Oh man, that was it. There's a similar story with Hamlet. So playing the Ostazuski brothers again, I always wanted to be a Seminole.
Okay.
And I thought I'm waiting on the offers, and nothing ever came. So the one thing I did know, I met Anthony Carter a few times.
Okay.
And I knew a guy named Larry Station who had gone to Iowa and the Big Ten. So I knew about the Big Ten. So that was one of my favorite conferences. but I could name 9 teams. I could never name Minnesota that was in that conference.
Wow.
and the only thing I knew about that Minnesota at that time was the Little House on the Prairie. I knew nothing about it.
That is funny.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny, man.
And that's just how. So just when you had to set up for your visits, I knew I wanted to leave Florida. If I couldn't go to Florida State, it was either Florida State or out of the state.
Right.
And it was all the Big Ten. And Fred Wilson and Carlos Jenkins, they were at Michigan State. So I took my visits. And once I saw the downtown Minneapolis, the Dome, those people with the 3Ms and Honeywells and talk about careers. And it was just lovely. I mean, the facilities were great. And it was just something different. You know, at that time, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to go up north, there's nothing like that Metrodome. So we practiced inside, we played inside. So a lot of people think I never played in snow unless we went to Iowa. So it was just a great opportunity and just a dare to do something different.
Right, exactly. So the experience was a great experience for you?
It was an awesome experience. Awesome. I ended up staying there for 17 years.
Really?
Yeah, then I moved back down here. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's powerful. So Les, I mean, you went to the University of Central Missouri, man.
Yeah, man.
Tell me about that.
Low man on the totem pole when it comes to all that TV exposure and all that stuff. But
hey, man,
my story is not that much dissimilar though to Andre's, because you know, I was just trying to get free school.
Right.
You know, I really wasn't really, honestly, because I think I stopped playing my junior year. And then I said, well, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna play my senior year. And you know what happened with me is, like I said, I was just looking for a scholarship to go play football. I love playing wide receiver. So my coach, my college coach was the head coach of Drake, and my high school coach, Coach Casco, played for my college coach as a quarterback at Drake.
Okay.
So that's how that connection came about. And so he called down and said, hey, you got any athletes you can send to me in Missouri? And Coach Casco said, yeah, I got Les McGinley and Vince Jordan. You know, they both, one played tight end. Well, Vince was the quarterback that stopped the 6-0 run. I think.
Yes, he was that dude.
Wow.
But he was. And you know, to be honest, you know, I kind of thought that was the only opportunity that I had, you know. Okay. Like, hey, this guy wants to give y'all a scholarship, and we was like, all right, cool, we're in. We didn't even really have those father figures to kind of tell us, hey, you know, let's hold tight for a second. Let's see what else comes through. Right. And it's so interesting, Bobby, because I'm 6'3", wide receiver, and I run a 4.5 40.
Wow.
You know, and I didn't know at the time, but my younger brother, Les Troy, we call him LD, he played a couple years as a lineman at Florida State before he got into some trouble or whatever the case may be. But I remember my dad going to Parents' Day, and I remember Coach Bowden asking my dad, this was after I was out of school,
wow,
you know, like, didn't I try to recruit one of your other sons? He was a wide receiver. I never knew anything about it.
Right.
I never knew anything about it because I was so stuck on, okay, I got a scholarship. The goal has been achieved. Right. And let's move forward. I wasn't thinking about NFL and TV and all that stuff because I didn't have anybody who had understood any of that kind of stuff. Right. So, but all in all, it turned out well, man. I had a great career. As you know, Bobby, I came down there and tried out for a camp down there. That's your way, you know, I got letters from every NFL team because as a safety being 235 running a 4.45, you know, that was unheard of back then.
Right,
you know? But at a smaller school, they don't know what to do with a person like me. They don't know what the, you know. I remember Detroit Lions came to have me run the 40, and it was finals time. You know, and I said, man, I'm on my way to a finals. It's like, well, I don't know if we can wait. Right. You know, so instead of my coach, I was in the football office. Right. Instead of my coach saying, hey man, go run the 40, we'll go ahead and talk to your professors. Right, exactly. It was like, well, it's kind of a decision. You know, I mean, so they really didn't know how to handle that type of thing. So but it all worked out. Right. Everything worked out at the end. Well, you know, I always believe this. It always worked out the way it's supposed to. That's right. That's right. Some people don't believe that, but I do believe that. So sometimes it's, you know, and here's the thing. I was always told this, but it was hard for me to
kind of understand it when I was playing. You know, everybody said you need a backup plan, you need a backup plan. And I'm like, dude, I'm playing ball, right? And I wish somebody would have told me. I just really believe if you got a love of the game like I did, that's all I wanted to do was play football, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what kids need to do when they love it that much and that's all they want to do. Hey, look, somebody need to tell them, like, look, you're not going to be able to play all your life. So if you love the game that much, you need to learn how to coach. And to do that, you're going to have to get your paper. You're going to have to get a degree to do that. Right. And so, you know, nobody told me that. Everybody would tell me that, look, you know, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. And my 5th grade teacher, Miss Grace Kirkles, I don't know if y'all ever.
Oh, yeah.
She's absolutely the best, if not the best teacher, for sure the best elementary teacher I ever had. She was no nonsense. Y'all know about her, right?
Yeah.
But one day in school, the first day of school, she asked everybody what they want to be when they grew up. And by the time she got to me, she said, well, Bobby, what are you going to be? I said, I want to play pro football. She said, well, you're going to need a backup plan. The whole class started laughing, right? And so it really just made me mad. I'm going to show all these guys. But, you know, what she should have been telling me, that's great. You know, if you want to do that, I mean, even after your playing days, you can go into coaching like Coach Roger Coffey and name some of the guys, but you're going to have to get your degree to get that done, right?
Right, exactly.
I wish somebody would have been talking to me along those lines, because at the end of my NFL career, I was nothing but a coach anyway. They had me there just helping the younger guys, right? I mean, I was playing like 10 plays a game.
Right.
You know, not, you know, just sitting there, not even playing a lot of nickel. And so, but just coaching. And I wish somebody would have been guiding me along those ways with my career. But all you guys went on after college, and, you know, Dr. Hammond, we know you played with the Seahawks and played with the Colts, but one day it came to an end for everybody here, right? Playing the game came to an end. So let's talk about, let's start with you, Andre. What did you do right after college?
Well, I knew my career came to an end when, again, like Leslie said, when it was getting ready for our pro day, and Troy Aikman had just come out about the concussion syndrome, and I had 4 concussions my senior year. Wow. So I knew early that football was over for me.
Right.
So even before our graduation was June of '92, I got a job in May, and I had a couple more classes to take before June. And I knew I wanted to work in social service, nonprofits, and helping people, but I wanted to do like business. So coaching. So that's one of the things I knew I wanted to do. So I was still up in Minnesota, and I had one of my roommates, college teammates, his high school. I was able to get a job coaching there at Minnetonka High School. And that was just something I knew I wanted to do, and I fell in love from day one. And then just working with young people. Wow. So it's like, you know, that old proverbial saying, if you find something you love, is not work. You know, so it's definitely my passion. So I think I've been getting up now for years, just, you know, coaching, whether it be coaching football, coaching track, because that's really my first love is track and field.
Right. Wow, man.
So yeah, so just doing that and knowing, and then back to that plan that you talk about having a backup plan. You know, my backup plan was knowing that what motivated me is the weirdest thing in the world. I grew up on 9th Avenue in a crowded 2-bedroom apartment, and I knew I never wanted my kids to live in an apartment. That was my driving force.
Right.
Coming out of college. Nothing else, not the NFL, you know, after I knew I couldn't play anymore. It's just like, make sure I had the resources when it was time to get married and have kids that they never. So I worked to do that. And also to make sure, not having a dad, that I'm going to find a job where if they needed me to coach them, I'll be able to coach them and be around. So those 2 things is really what motivated me and inspired me as far as what type of career and type of lifestyle I wanted to live.
Wow.
Was shortly after college.
Yeah, that's powerful. What about you, Les?
Yeah, man, my path was a little bit different. You know, my little brother Ivan, who you guys probably all know, you know, he was giving my mom some issues when I was in college, and you know, I didn't know what else to do, so I I told her to ship him to me in school.
Wow.
So she put him on a Greyhound bus with 2 pair of jeans, a couple of shirts, and a couple pair of underwear. And I picked him up from the bus station. And you know, as a kid, it was just me and my mom and my brother. So I didn't know, you know, I just didn't want her to worry. And so I brought him to school with me. I enrolled him in high school there. You know, so I'm playing football. I got school. I got this 10th grader who, you know, who's just off the chain, you know, who I had to try to do something with. So I actually, after I graduated college, I actually stayed in the town that the college was in an extra year and a half to try to get him to finish up with high school. And he didn't quite finish, but my girlfriend's uncle took him in, and he kind of finished up there in another part of Missouri. So I got started kind of late in my career, about a year and a half. But yeah, I just I lucked up, man, and got hired on to a management company with Marriott. They were looking for young managers, you know, and trying, you know, and they said that, you know, they worked in hotels, hospitals, school districts, and they were looking for young managers. So I kind of got lucky and got into that field, and I just really just, like Andre said, I kind of fell in love with it. You know, I enjoyed being around people. I enjoyed, you know, leading people. That was something I didn't really know I had in me.
Right.
I was never like the captain of the football team or anything like that. But, you know, when people talk about it now, they say, well, you know, you had to be some type of leader to take your little brother and do what you did at such a young age. You had to have something in you. So I think that was kind of what sparked the leadership component. And I became, you know, I just kind of continued that journey throughout my career.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you know, we've all been inspired, been touched by other men who came back and helped in the community. You know, we talk about, you know, the Red Odins. We talk about the Benny Leonard. When we talk about those guys, Bump Mitchell and all those guys. Listen, man, those guys Bump was a police officer coming back to help in the community, right? And so, you know, for me, what I've done, you know, I never coach in the pros. I never coached college or high school, but I started doing football camps way back in the day. My first year, my rookie year, I don't know if any of you guys were there. After my rookie year in 1981, I came back to Delray and did my first football camp. And I paid for everything. I bought food for everybody, you know, and I got Otis Anderson. I got Ricky Jackson from Pahokee. I had Anthony Carter. I had all my boys there, Carlos Carson. They were helping out, coming to help out in the community. And, you know, I was bringing football to my community because, you know, it meant so much to me there. And so I started doing that. And to this present day, that's what I do. Me and a former Falcon teammate, guy who played at North Carolina named Buddy Curry, he was drafted in 1980, middle linebacker. We started a company called Kids and Pros back in 2020. And, you know, we got us a nonprofit and we started raising money to do football camps, so we didn't leave any kids behind, right? And so our camps are completely free. And so it gives me a little bit of a way to just keep my hands on the youth, right? And I love that. So Dr. Hamlet, Dr. Hamlet now, Dr. Anthony Hamlet. Now, let me ask you this question. Now, you know, you've been in the school system. I mean, you started out, I guess, teaching, and then you end up being a principal at Palm Beach Lakes High School, right?
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, you got this crazy job up in Pittsburgh.
Tell me about it, right? Crazy.
Then a superintendent in the public schools in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And tell me about that, but tell me about what motivates you to go into education. That's something you always want to do?
Absolutely not. Very, very similar to Andre. I knew I wanted to work with kids.
Right.
Never wanted to be a teacher. I found myself, I thought I was going to social work, get a master's degree, do counseling, things of that nature. Never wanted to be a teacher. Even though when I was at Miami, I went to speak at schools all the time doing the DARE program, supporting that, but never wanted to be a teacher. So after kicking around in the NFL up in Canada for a little bit, came back, and then one of my mentors and one of our former coaches, Leonard Mitchell, said, "Hey, you're not doing right now. Why are you trying to figure this out? Why don't you be a substitute teacher over at Gold Coast Corporate Academy?" Okay. That's the first behavior school they opened in Palm Beach County years ago.
Okay.
Right? And so go over there and do that. Figured I'd stay there for a little bit, subbing while I find something else. So lo and behold, I get in there and the kids respond to me well. And the principal's like, what are you doing to the kids? Are you scaring them? Are you intimidating them? Because they're not acting up anymore. I said, no, I'm actually talking to them. And, kids gravitate, people gravitate to it. Right. We have this natural thing about us that people want to be around us, talk to us, etc. So anyway, did that. A month into that, the principal comes and says, hey, why don't you try to apply for your professional certificate? I said, no, that's okay. I'm not going to be a teacher. I don't want to apply for that. He said, you'll get paid more money. I said, okay.
Of course.
I applied for my temporary certificate. Got that. The next year, I went over to, I got the coaching bug. I want to start coaching again. Start coaching, I should say. So I got my first coaching gig at Wellington High School. Okay. So I went to Wellington High School as a dean and also as a football coach. So I ended up staying at Wellington for like 10 years. And so getting there and really working with these kids and seeing the system and the inequities that exist in the system, but also how I was able to help children, both affluent, non-affluent, good kids, bad kids, just being able to help them through their problems and support them their growth. Just kind of I got real passionate about being in education, but also understanding that I can make a difference as an African-American male. Normally you don't get these opportunities to move forward. That's right. So early on, I said, you know what? It's funny. When I was a teacher, I never wanted to be an administrator. Right. Right. At the time, Rob Montgomery, who used to be the coach at Boca Raton High School, absolutely, came to Wellington High School after my fourth year there, and I was running in-school suspension at that time. And he says, Anthony, once you think about coming into the office and actually being an assistant principal, working as a teacher on assignment in the office, in the administrative office, I said, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. I'm good. I don't do that. A month goes by. He calls you back into the office along with the head assistant principal. And basically he told me, if you want to work here, this is what you're going to do.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. And so went to administration and, I talk about it, going back to sometimes people see things in you that they don't realize and the potential. Right. And, you got to be receptive. I didn't want to do it, but I was receptive to it. I said, okay, I'll do it. Got into it, loved it. Became an actual assistant principal, then a principal of 3-4 schools actually, and then I went to central office. And all the work I've done has been in the most difficult schools in Palm Beach County.
Wow.
The most difficult schools in Palm Beach County. You talk about Turning Points Academy with the gangbangers and drug dealers. A great environment for kids. Went to John F. Kennedy Middle School, which was at the time I went over there, they were the 10th worst school in the state. Right there, 10th worst school in the state. Went over there. Then went to Palm Beach Lakes. It was a bigger version of JFK. And then after all that work, I got tapped to come to central office as the director of school transformation accountability, working with school improvement. I had my portfolio of the 20 lowest performing schools in Palm Beach County, charged to work with them. My office, the school transformation office, along with the area office, work together in conjunction on school improvement for those schools. And so at that point, I'm saying, you know what? And I see these individuals in the seats that are not really making the moves that need to happen for children of color. You know what? For me to be able to make these moves and make these changes, I want to become a superintendent.
Right. Wow, man, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's awesome right there.
Yeah, that's real.
And man, it's a blessing to have you, in that position, because just like you said, it's just like we're not represented in those places, in places of decision making.
Not enough,
right?
Absolutely.
Where people don't know anything about our culture and how how we are, and so man, I tip my hat off to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing, Doc. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I want you to know how polite I am, though. Dr. Anthony, you see I got on a generic shirt. I didn't put on my Florida State shirt. But it wouldn't matter to you no way, because y'all beat us every year.
He had to wear.
Hey, Les, I'm always cognizant of that, right? Yeah. Well, my guess is, all right, I'm not gonna do that, right? I'm not gonna
well, at least I didn't with a loud orange color. I toned it down with the green.
You toned it down with the green.
And
you know, I like that color though. You know, I like that color, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's Atlantic High Delray Rock color, right? I
didn't have to change my colors when I went from Atlantic to Miami.
That was a beautiful thing, right? Yeah. That was a beautiful thing. That's great, man. So listen, man.
One of the things I want to say before this, out of all this is important to your point, is that making sure that we instill the foundation of educating our young men and women.
Yes.
Making sure that you can use your athleticism as a means to an end, to Leslie's point, to get that free education.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's up to you once you get there to get that paper.
You got to get that paper. And listen,
it takes paper to make paper, right?
There you go. I like that. It takes paper. Let me write that one down. That's a good one. It takes paper to make paper.
Yeah, absolutely.
Listen, you got to get it. You got to get it. And so, you know, that's one of the things that when I came along, it was different. You know, my parents were not educated. And so I wanted to play ball. And you know, my backup plan truly was to, you know, if I didn't get a scholarship, I was going to go into the Army. My dad was an Army guy, right? So I had made my mind up. If this don't happen, I'm going this route, right? And so, but you got to get that. You got to get educated. And so, you know, I got four boys. Yeah. They all have college degrees. You know, I was pushing them in their back hard about education. And you know, it's amazing. I didn't finish when I left Florida State. So one day it hit me, dude. You be telling kids about, you know, you gotta get your paper. You know, you don't have your paper. You know what I did, Dr. Anthony?
You went and got it.
I went and got it.
That's right.
I went and got it.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. Let me tell you, I know it's not. Because let me tell you,
very similar to you, Bobby. I call it the AAA plan, right?
Okay. All right.
Mom didn't have much money. Grandparents didn't have any money. So if I wanted to go to college, I was going to get an athletic scholarship, academic scholarship, or go to the armed forces. Those were my choices.
Those are choices.
Yeah. But I was going to go to college some kind of way.
Some kind of way, Doc.
Yeah. Even if I had a deferred dream of 4 years by going into the service and then coming out. But that was the plan.
Exactly.
So I think the hardest part where we have to realize then is, unfortunately, we had great motivators at Atlantic High School coming out for football, but we didn't have a lot of people pushing us academically.
That's right.
And that was the one. Hamlet, I don't remember those two guidance counselors where we called ourselves going to University of Miami, and University of Minnesota. And those guidance counselors, we won't call their names, were like, well, shouldn't you guys think about maybe FAM or Bethune?
Wow.
Nothing wrong with FAM or Bethune.
Right, exactly.
But my final three choices were going to be Ohio State, Michigan, or Minnesota. And Hamlet had already committed to Miami. But those times were not supportive. And even like put you in a class with a teacher because you're the football player and all that. And Hamlet, if you remember, I know my mom told me, well, do something about it. So I ran for class president.
You sure did.
That's awful, man.
So we had stuff like that because of Leonard Mitchell, who was there with us. Coach Baldwin, because Coach Baldwin, he at that time was on the latter part of his coaching career, and he's like coached some of the greatest probably ever to come out of Atlantic. But he knew, like, listen, you were skipping class. I saw you down here, so he gonna make you pay for it. So it wasn't about he protecting the football player anymore. And then Coach Petty was probably the most different coach ever to coach at Atlantic. Probably
really
the discipline was off the charts.
Well, I know Coach Baldwin didn't play.
Yeah. So you put him with Coach Smith and Coach Petty together. It was that's why we had 19 players, not because they didn't want to play. We probably had 40, but the attrition rate, because the discipline was even the mental, not even just the physical, like that whole tough. Well, remember that we had to learn like rules. Like he'll come up to you, rule 8, and you had to be able to spit it out. It was different.
Not the whole team will run.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It was different.
Practices where 80% of the practice was wind sprints, and I'm not joking with you.
Wow, I love it, man. I love it. See, you know, and you know, everything's been so weakened now. You can't do those kind of things now. And you know, you can't do them no more. You can't do it. And so it's like, man, you're making these kids soft. You know.
But can you do it, or the coaches are just not doing it? And that's why I retired, to be quite honest, because it's like you're promising all these kids to come to your school, so you can build almost like a powerhouse, as opposed to coaching the kids that are from Delray, which we got plenty of at Atlantic.
Right.
Get them up to snuff with the discipline. The athleticism is going to come.
Oh,
we may not win the state title,
right?
But we're going to turn out 85% of those kids are going to get some type of scholarship. Everybody's not going to play in the SEC or the ACC or the Big Ten.
That's right.
Quit lying to those kids and instill discipline and academics and make sure they play multiple sports.
Now that's another thing. We don't have a lot of time to talk about that, but you know, we all play multiple sports. I played 3 sports. You know, football, basketball, ran track, and they help one another. You know, I'm so thankful. When I went to Florida State, my junior year, I got on the track team, right? My last 2 years at State, I got on the track team, and my 40 time went from a 4.45 to a 4.34. I was the fastest guy in the 40 in the draft in 1981.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and so, but it was because I got on the track team, Andre, and so it's a value in those other sports. And I look back and I think back in high school, when I was a freshman, the best thing I did was play basketball. All right. I wasn't on the varsity. I played my last year with the Rocks. I played basketball, got moved up to the varsity at the end of the year. Right. And that's the best thing I did. So what if my Josh Smith, the basketball coach at that time, would have said to me, well, Bobby, you know, you can't do football, you can't do track. You know, we got to do all this basketball stuff. You got to play AAU basketball. I would have missed the boat.
Yeah,
right.
Nowadays, even with football, they do football year round.
7-on-7 as we speak.
Right. It's like year round. Dude, let those kids play another sport, you know? And so, but anyway, that's my deal with
it. But Bobby, I like to say something real quick. I mean, I know we definitely, everybody on this call has their paper to make paper, as Hamlet so eloquently said, and I agree 100%.
I love that.
You know, I went back and got another paper to make more paper. So you know, so I get it. But I think today we're in a different time, and I think, you know, college is not for everyone. So I want to try to figure out how do we reach those kids that are not college or don't want to go to college or don't feel like they're college material or whatever. How can we help those kids to better themselves in their lives? Because I can tell you, you know, going from, like I said, you know, entry level management all the way up to the executive level in business, you know, I've helped a lot of people along the way, right? But having my own businesses, I feel like I've had more impact on people than I did in those other high level positions, right? So, you know, I think business ownership, entrepreneurship, all of those things, I think lend itself today in today's time. Especially, I think the pandemic has awakened everyone, right?
Absolutely.
But, you know, I have so much more freedom and pride in my business side of things than I do in my corporate side of things.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I'm with you.
So although football was a great, you know, opportunity to go to school and graduate and all those things, a lot of these kids are not even finishing their college degrees to, you know, going to the NFL or the NBA or whatever the case may be. So I think at some point on one of your shows, maybe there could be a focus on, you know, how do we be inclusive of those kids that, you know, it's just no matter how hard they try, that's not going to be their direction.
Right.
Well, you know, how do we stop them from getting lost in the shuffle? Hamlet, you talked about those kids a lot of those kids that graduated from your high schools didn't go to school, but what did they do? And can we start them early at, you know, at business, at trades, or, you know, or whatever the case may be? Can we show them that, hey, there's a different way? I'm going to make more money on my business side than I ever did on my corporate side.
That's right.
And I didn't need a college degree to kind of do the business side.
Right. Exactly.
I just had to have the will and the wherewithal for someone to show me some things, right?
Exactly.
So I just don't want that to get lost, that we have to have a paper, because there's people that show you Michael Dell and all these others that did not, Jay-Z, all these others, no matter what area they're in, that are highly successful, but did not have the college experience, if you will.
Right. Bill Gates is one of those guys.
Bill Gates as well.
So you know what? Let's do this. I'll make a commitment to y'all right now. Let's do a show on that in January.
It sounds great.
Okay. Y'all over that?
I mean,
I'll call you. We'll put it on the calendar, and we need to do that show, Les. All right, because we talked about that a little bit before.
Right.
Let's do that, because I think that's important as well.
Right.
I think that's important as well.
Right.
Hey, listen, man. Thank you guys for your time, man. Hey, y'all know I love Delray, right?
Absolutely.
And if I love Delray, I love you guys, man.
Love you too, man.
Hamlet, I love you, man. Hey, man.
Thank
Anthony
you.
Grisby? Anthony Grisby? Oh, my gosh. You messed me up tonight, man.
Yeah.
Hey, Dre, you and I have been talking for a while over the years, man. Man, I love you and appreciate what you do. Les, hey, man. Love you, man.
Love you too, brother.
Let's get together. Let's get together this week and talk about, we put it on the calendar, and so we can help these people make some better decisions when it comes to education, okay?
Absolutely.
Hey, that's our show tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is 100 Yards of Football, and I had the great Leslie McGinley. I had Dr. Anthony Hamlet from the U, and Andre Thaddeus on the show tonight, Minnesota Gophers. In the house.
Rolling Gophers.
Thank you again for the show. If you like the show tonight, guys, comment, share it with your friends. This is 100 Yards of Football, and I'm your host, Bobby Butler. Thank you so much for watching tonight.